Michael embodied courage, authority, and unwavering loyalty to God. Separated from the churches he loved, John spent his days in prayer and reflection, faithful to God despite isolation and hardship. Silence. Within the silence of a humble cave, the aged apostle sought God with unwavering devotion. Without warning, heaven broke into the earthly realm, flooding the darkness with divine glory beyond human imagination. A voice like a mighty trumpet called out behind him, announcing the beginning of a revelation unlike anything ever seen before. Before John stood the risen Christ in unmatched glory, walking among the lampstands that represented his people throughout the earth. The Lord appeared not as a suffering servant, but as the eternal King, whose power and authority filled heaven and earth. Overcome by the brilliance of Christ, John fell at his feet in reverent fear before the overwhelming presence of God. Yet the Savior reached down in compassion, replacing fear with peace and preparing his servant for the visions to come. John was commanded to record everything he would see, preserving heaven's message for generations yet to come. The revelation began with messages to 7 churches, each carrying lessons that would echo through all of Christian history. To Ephesus, Christ commended perseverance but warned against abandoning the love that had once burned so brightly. The faithful church of Smyrna endured suffering and opposition, yet remained steadfast in devotion to God. In Pergamum, believers stood firm in a city filled with competing loyalties and spiritual challenges. The church of Thyatira was called to reject compromise and return fully to the truth of God. To Sardis came a call to awaken from spiritual slumber and renew genuine faith. Philadelphia was praised for faithful endurance and promised an open door that no one could shut. Laodicea was challenged to abandon complacency and embrace true spiritual riches. And then heaven itself opened before John, inviting him to witness realities beyond the limits of the earthly world. In the Spirit, John was carried beyond earth into the glorious courts of heaven. Before him stood the throne of God, the center of all creation and the source of eternal authority. The throne radiated holiness and power beyond human description, revealing the majesty of the Almighty. Surrounding the throne were 24 elders, symbols of worship, wisdom, and redeemed authority. In complete humility, the elders laid their crowns before God, acknowledging that all glory belongs to Him alone. Around the throne stood 4 living creatures, continually declaring the holiness of the One who reigns forever. Before the throne lay a crystal sea, calm and pure, reflecting the perfect holiness of heaven itself. Myriads of angels surrounded the throne, each devoted to worship and service before the Creator of all things. A mighty angel stepped forth with a question that would echo throughout heaven.
Who is worthy to open the scroll and reveal the purposes of God?
The scroll contained the unfolding plan of history, sealed until the appointed one would appear.
No one in heaven or on earth seemed worthy to open the scroll.
Overcome with sorrow, John wept, because the mystery of God's plan appeared sealed forever. Then an elder spoke words of hope, revealing that the answer had already come.
The Lion of the tribe of Judah had prevailed. The conquering lion was revealed as the sacrificial lamb, victorious through redemption. The Lamb alone was worthy to approach the throne and receive the scroll.
At that moment, heaven witnessed the transfer of divine authority to the Redeemer. The elders responded with worship, honoring the one who redeemed humanity.
Millions of angels joined the chorus, proclaiming the worthiness of the Lamb.
All creation acknowledged the majesty of Christ and the victory of redemption.
The first seal was opened, and the unfolding of prophecy began.
The first rider appeared, symbolizing conquest, moving across the earth. The second seal revealed another phase in the unfolding story of humanity. The red horse symbolized conflict and the turmoil of war among nations. The third seal revealed the consequences that often follow conflict. The black horse represented famine, imbalance, and hardship spreading across the world. The fourth seal unveiled another sobering reality of life in a fallen world. The pale horse symbolized death and the fragile nature of earthly existence. Together, the riders illustrated forces that have shaped human history throughout the ages. Beneath heaven's altar stood the faithful martyrs, honored for their unwavering devotion to God. Michael embodied courage, authority, and unwavering loyalty to God. Michael embodied courage, authority, and unwavering loyalty to God.
The opening of the sixth seal marked a turning point in the unfolding vision.
The earth trembled with unprecedented force as creation responded to divine authority.
The heavens displayed extraordinary signs that captured the attention of the world.
The celestial order seemed shaken as dazzling signs unfolded across the sky. People from every level of society recognized that history was moving toward a decisive moment. The earth itself became a stage for events greater than any generation had witnessed before.
The entire world stood beneath the shadow of unfolding prophecy. 4 angels restrained the winds of judgment according to God's command.
Creation paused in anticipation as heaven prepared for the next stage of the vision.
Another angel arrived, bearing the seal of God, bringing protection for his servants. The command was given to preserve those marked for God's purpose.
A chosen company was sealed, set apart for a unique role within God's unfolding plan. Marked by divine authority, they stood secure beneath heaven's protection. John then beheld a countless multitude from every tribe, language, and nation.
The redeemed celebrated God's salvation with joy and thanksgiving.
United in worship, they honored the Lamb who had brought them through every trial. The Lamb became their shepherd, guiding them toward everlasting life. In God's presence, sorrow and suffering gave way to eternal peace. When the 7th seal was opened, a profound silence filled heaven.
The silence carried a sense of expectation unlike anything before.
7 angels were entrusted with trumpets that would announce the next prophetic events.
Prepared and ready, the angels stood, awaiting the moment of proclamation.
Before the trumpets sounded, the prayers of God's people ascended like fragrant incense before his throne.
The prayers of the faithful rose before God like sacred incense, filling heaven with their devotion.
Fire from heaven was sent toward the world, signaling the beginning of a new prophetic sequence.
The first trumpet sounded, announcing the next chapter of the Revelation.
The world witnessed extraordinary signs as the consequences of prophecy began to unfold.
But the land itself reflected the seriousness of the events taking place. The second trumpet echoed throughout heaven and earth.
A vision of immense power unfolded over the seas, symbolizing dramatic change. The impact transformed the waters and shook the imagination of all who beheld it. Across the oceans, people witnessed signs that challenged everything they thought they understood. The third trumpet introduced another powerful vision.
A radiant star appeared, crossing the heavens with dramatic significance.
Its appearance affected the lands below, drawing the attention of nations. People everywhere watched as heaven's signs unfolded before their eyes.
The fourth trumpet revealed changes in the very lights of the sky. The heavens themselves seemed altered as the vision continued. The world stood beneath an unfamiliar sky, aware that extraordinary events were underway.
A heavenly messenger warned that even greater events were yet to come. The fifth trumpet unveiled one of the most mysterious visions in the Revelation.
The key opened a realm long hidden from human sight. A great cloud emerged, transforming the appearance of the world. The vision grew darker and more intense with every passing moment.
Strange, symbolic creatures appeared, representing forces beyond ordinary understanding. The vision conveyed the seriousness of spiritual realities often hidden from human sight. At the center of the vision stood a figure associated with the mysteries of the abyss. As the vision expanded, John saw a world increasingly aware that history was moving toward its appointed destination.
The sixth trumpet sounded, unveiling another powerful vision within the Revelation. A command came from the heavenly altar, directing events according to God's sovereign purpose. 4 angels associated with the Euphrates were prepared for a significant moment in prophecy. At the appointed time, the angels were released to fulfill their role in the unfolding vision.
John witnessed an immense army, unlike anything he had ever imagined.
The vision emphasized the immense scale and power of forces moving across the earth. The world became the stage for events carrying profound prophetic significance. And every detail reinforced the overwhelming magnitude of the vision. The landscape itself seemed to respond to the unfolding events. Humanity watched as history continued moving toward its appointed destination.
The consequences of the vision extended far beyond any single nation.
John carefully recorded each revelation as it unfolded before him.
Then John saw a mighty angel descending from heaven in overwhelming glory. The angel's presence demonstrated heaven's authority over all creation. In his hand was a small scroll containing another part of the divine message. The angel proclaimed heaven's authority before all creation. The heavens responded with 7 mighty thunders, whose full message remained hidden. John was instructed not to record everything he heard, preserving part of the mystery. The vision reminded John that God's purposes unfold according to perfect wisdom. John was instructed to take the scroll and receive its message personally. The revelation was not only to be observed, but also experienced. The message carried both sweetness and solemn responsibility. Strengthened by the vision, John prepared to continue recording the revelation. Every scene revealed a deeper layer of God's plan for the world. The revelation continued, leading John toward even greater visions yet to come. John was given a measuring rod and instructed to observe a sacred vision with great care. Before him stood a magnificent temple, representing God's enduring presence among his people. Every part of the temple carried symbolic meaning within the unfolding revelation. John faithfully recorded what he saw, preserving the details of the vision. The inner sanctuary radiated holiness and reminded John of God's glory. The temple stood as a symbol of divine order amid a changing world. John next witnessed the appearance of 2 remarkable servants chosen for a special mission. The witnesses faithfully declared God's truth before the nations. Their courage remained unwavering despite every challenge before them. Together they fulfilled a prophetic purpose assigned by heaven. Their testimony reached people from every background and station in life. The witnesses were symbolized as olive trees, sustained by God's provision. They were also represented as lampstands, shining truth into a troubled world. Their strength came not from themselves, but from constant dependence upon God. Even before powerful leaders, they remained faithful to their mission. Their message spread widely throughout the city and beyond. Through passing seasons, their dedication never wavered. Their presence became a defining feature of the prophetic landscape. They boldly proclaimed truth before all who would listen. The events on earth were closely observed from the courts of heaven. Their ministry unfolded amid growing spiritual conflict. Many found strength and hope through their faithful example. Even in darkness, their testimony continued to shine. Each new day brought fresh opportunities to proclaim God's message. The faith of God's people rose like light toward heaven, preparing the way for what would come next. The mission of the two witnesses approached its appointed conclusion after a season of faithful testimony. Their ministry unfolded against the backdrop of an ongoing spiritual struggle.
Despite opposition, they continued proclaiming truth with unwavering courage.
The city became a focal point in the unfolding prophetic story.
Far above the earth, heaven remained attentive to every event taking place.
The prayers of God's people ascended from every corner of the earth. The earth responded dramatically as prophecy continued to unfold. The event left many reflecting on the significance of what they had witnessed. Attention shifted once more toward heaven as another milestone approached. The seventh angel prepared to sound the trumpet that would announce a significant turning point. Its sound echoed throughout creation, proclaiming the sovereignty of God.
The heavenly hosts responded with celebration and praise. The elders acknowledged once again that all authority belongs to God alone. Their worship reflected the humility found in heaven's courts.
The throne stood as the center of divine power and holiness. New mysteries became visible as the heavenly temple opened.
The ark symbolized God's covenant faithfulness throughout history. The atmosphere of heaven revealed both majesty and awe.
John then beheld one of the most striking symbols in the entire Revelation. She appeared clothed in heavenly glory and crowned with stars. The vision carried profound symbolic meaning connected to God's redemptive plan. The hosts of heaven watched attentively as the vision unfolded. The entire scene radiated beauty, significance, and divine purpose. The vision pointed toward the arrival of one central to God's plan. Another figure entered the vision, representing opposition to God's purposes. The stage was set for a dramatic conflict that would reveal the triumph of God's eternal plan. A great conflict emerged within the heavenly realm, revealing dimensions of spiritual reality beyond human sight. At the head of heaven's hosts stood Michael, the mighty archangel entrusted with a crucial role in the conflict. Michael embodied courage, authority, and unwavering loyalty to God. The armies of heaven prepared to advance under divine authority. The hosts of heaven gathered in numbers beyond human calculation. The scale of the heavenly realm surpassed every earthly kingdom. Opposition also assembled, preparing for a confrontation of cosmic significance. The vision portrayed a force determined to resist God's purposes. The heavenly realm became the setting for an extraordinary confrontation. The forces of heaven advanced with confidence under God's authority. The conflict revealed the ultimate supremacy of God's kingdom. Every movement reflected order, purpose, and unwavering devotion. The archangel led heaven's hosts through the vastness of the celestial realm. The opposing force sought to challenge the authority established by God. Vision expanded to reveal the breathtaking scale of the heavenly kingdom. Above every event stood the throne of God, unchanged and supreme.
Worship continued because God's sovereignty remained absolute.
Michael's confidence came from the authority of God rather than his own strength. The opposing forces finally stood face to face.
The battle represented a decisive moment within the vision. The victory of God's kingdom became unmistakably clear.
The heavenly hosts rejoiced in the triumph of divine authority. The vision portrayed the defeat of opposition before the purposes of God.
Celebrations spread throughout heaven as peace was restored.
The heavenly realm once again reflected perfect order beneath the glory of God.
John's attention shifted once again as a new prophetic vision emerged from the sea. The sea symbolized the restless nations and peoples of the world. Against this dramatic backdrop, another important symbol entered the vision: life. The dragon observed events unfolding across the world below. The vision portrayed a world marked by movement, change, and uncertainty. A symbolic figure emerged, representing powerful earthly systems and kingdoms. Its appearance reflected the influence and authority often associated with human empires. Vision expanded to include the vast network of nations shaping human history.
The peoples of the earth were deeply connected to the unfolding story. The symbol highlighted the enduring attraction of earthly power.
The vision suggested a deeper source behind the rise of worldly authority. Human civilization appeared at the height of its influence and achievement. Many were captivated by the promises offered through worldly success. The interconnected nature of nations became increasingly apparent. The vision emphasized the far-reaching influence of human power.
Earthly achievements stood prominently within the prophetic landscape. Yet heaven continued to oversee every event unfolding among humanity. A heavenly messenger carried an eternal proclamation to every nation. The message extended across the world without distinction. Another symbol appeared, representing additional dimensions of worldly influence. The vision explored the complex systems that shape society. The choices of humanity carried profound consequences throughout history. Power often takes many forms within the human experience. People continually face decisions regarding loyalty,
values, and truth. And the accomplishments of humanity stood in striking contrast to heaven's eternal perspective. The revelation continually contrasted earthly ambition with divine authority. The eternal message of salvation remained central throughout the vision. God's invitation extended to all people, regardless of background. The call of heaven reached every corner of the earth.
At the center of the revelation stood the victorious Lamb. The redeemed reflected the faithfulness of God throughout history. The Lamb embodied both sacrifice and ultimate victory.
Worship filled heaven as gratitude rose before the throne. The hosts of heaven united in praise of God's eternal kingdom.
The vision turned toward the image of a great harvest.
The harvest symbolized God's ultimate gathering of humanity.
Heaven declared that the appointed season had arrived.
The harvest vision revealed God's sovereign care over the destiny of humanity.
Every vision pointed toward the ultimate triumph of God's purpose throughout creation.
John's vision now moved deeper into the heavenly sanctuary, where another series of revelations awaited. 7 angels appeared from the presence of God, prepared for an important mission. Each angel carried out a role assigned according to heaven's perfect order.
The angels received golden bowls connected to the fulfillment of divine justice. The glory of God filled the sanctuary with overwhelming majesty. The entire heavenly kingdom reflected the holiness of its Creator. The first angel advanced as the next phase of the vision began. The vision emphasized God's authority over every part of creation. The second angel continued the unfolding sequence of heavenly actions. The seas became part of the symbolic drama unfolding before John. Attention turned toward the rivers and sources of life.
The vision highlighted the importance of creation and its relationship to humanity. The heavenly messengers affirmed the righteousness of God's judgments. The vision next focused on the power of the sun. The heavenly lights served as reminders of God's sovereignty over creation. The entire world remained under heaven's watchful authority. The next vision addressed the temporary nature of worldly authority.
No earthly kingdom could ultimately rival the kingdom of God.
Human civilization continued beneath the unfolding purposes of heaven.
The vision once again returned to the region of the Euphrates. Ancient landscapes played a symbolic role within the revelation.
The vision portrayed humanity assembling at a significant moment in history.
The attention of the world seemed drawn toward a decisive future event. Above every earthly development stood the victorious Lamb. The hosts of heaven watched the unfolding story with perfect understanding. The final bowl marked the completion of an important prophetic sequence. The majesty of God's authority filled both heaven and earth. Creation itself reflected the significance of the moment. The world stood within the reach of God's sovereign plan. The purposes of God moved steadily toward fulfillment. The glory of heaven remained the central focus of every vision. The faithful looked toward the Lamb as the source of their hope and victory. As the revelation progressed, all attention remained fixed upon God's eternal kingdom.